when men, women and children of the same nation fight each other in the name of God, kill each other in the name of religion, burn and destroy in the name of Christianity, then they make the most destructive war of all, a special kind of hell that has become Northern Ireland. Attempts at political and economic solutions, martial law, curfews and arrests, all have so far failed to bring about peace and understanding between Roman Catholics and Protestants. And behind it all, the ordinary families, both the Catholics and the Protestants, live in tension on either side of heavily guarded peace lines. 12 months ago, 2 reporters and film teams visited and lived with 2 families, one Catholic and one Protestant, in the belief that if there was a way to understanding, it might be helped by listening to ordinary people. Now, a year later, they've gone back, returned so that we may be reminded what it was like then and what it has since become today.
To Bob Purdy, Protestant and Orangeman, loyalty to the Queen is a matter of life or death. He's a corporation lorry driver who joined the Orange Order at the age of 7, and now for a year he's the proud master of his lodge. He was a wartime volunteer in the Royal Ulster Rifles, and today, no longer a volunteer, he's still at war. His enemy, he says, is the Roman Catholic Church. Bobby's wife, Greta, used to have friends and neighbours among the Catholics, but since the Troubles, the arson and killing of the past year, she keeps to her side of the barricades, wouldn't nod acquaintance to a Catholic. In neutral zones, she won't even enter a Catholic shop. 10 minutes walk from the riot-torn streets, it's almost possible to feel at peace. The Purdy's daughter, Madeline, is a drummer in an Orange band. She's 19. Plans to marry next year, and has chosen a house which is in a little street only 50 yards from the barricades because it was when he's 6. And if that son ever thinks of marrying a Catholic girl, Jim will automatically oppose it. Indeed, the rules of the Orange Order demand that he must.
Here, boy. Now, that's enough. Here.
A picture of King William of Orange, who beat the Catholics in battle 300 years ago, is almost obligatory in an Orangeman's home.
Put a big cross around your ankle. Well, then you let your granny put your socks no long for you, love. And then...
The Purdy family revere King Billy's memory. To them, his image is protector of their home and their way of life. If the Protestants, who outnumber Catholics 2 to 1 in Ulster, were left to fend for themselves without the protection of the Crown, they believe they'd be driven into the Irish Sea by the Roman Catholics. The Protestant and Catholic areas of Belfast are separated from each other by barricades. Here the unwary can get caught in a crossfire of snipers' bullets, gunshot or petrol bombs, turning neighbourhoods into battlefields. In the bitterness civil war breeds, no one's allowed to forget where men were shot dead.
Well, what happened here?
That was a building that was just burned down. It was a public house, not licensed.
How did that happen?
It was just during the time of the trouble right down this street here. Just anything that was Catholic, it went down just because the Protestant people were getting the same on the far side.
Well, this was run by a Roman Catholic?
This here was run by a Roman Catholic.
So this was revenge?
I wouldn't put it down as revenge, just put it down at the height of the moment. The heat of the moment and all, just, he has been there for years upon years. It wouldn't be revenge, it's just at the heat of the moment, you know what happened. That's all.
And he's away now?
Oh, he's away now for good, he'll hardly be back.
Well, what about all the empty houses you see around here?
All around, oh, most of the empty houses are down this way here. They all, Roman Catholics lived in them and they moved out. They all moved out of the houses just during the trouble. Some of them were afraid and Some of them just wanted to be out and get in amongst their own people.
But were they intimidated? Were they frightened out of the houses?
No, not at all. No, there's been nobody around here who's been arrested for intimidating or anything. No, not at all.
Intimidated or not, the Catholic families got out of the Protestant areas and their homes burned behind them. When the trouble started, both factions knew on which side of the barricades they felt safer. The McGarry family, friends and neighbours of the Purdys, feel they're in a constant state of siege. They live close to the barricades and are always in danger of attack. Life, they say, is just an existence now. This family became early victims of the fighting when teenager Hugh McGarry went to deal with a petrol bomb and met a man with a shotgun. He fired full in the boy's face, wounding him dreadfully.
Total blindness. Totally blind now. Except for maybe if the sun's very bright, I can see the sun a bit, you know. It's all kind of cracked up, you know, cracks in it, like, you know.
Did you realise at the time you were shot that you'd lost your eyes?
Well, that was my first impression, and then they said it was only blood, but then, well, just after I got into the hospital, I think it was, doctor said there wasn't much hope of me ever seeing again.
How old were you?
17, and I was 17 at the time, and then, well, I'm 18 now, so I was 18 in April there.
What have been the after effects of you being injured in this way? Have you been in that part of the town again?
Yes, I have. Any time I go up onto the road, well, I've been up quite a few times with my mother, and when I go up onto the road, like if there's anybody, if there's any of them on the other side of the road, they shout across and call me an orange bee and all, you know, I'd call me an orange bee, and said they'd get me, they'd finish me off.
We were walking up the Crumlin Road to go to a shop to get a few messages, and the whole way up the Crumlin Road, not one or two people, but I'd say about a dozen altogether at different points on the Crumlin Road were shouting across, "There's that blind orange bastard." And, "Oh, there's that orange bastard now. There's that bastard's mother with him today again." These are sort of things that really, you just couldn't understand the mind of these people anymore.
The Orange Order prepares to parade. It's July the 12th when 100,000 Orangemen march through the towns and villages of Northern Ireland. It starts in front parlours with men who devote the march to what they'll tell you is the great and good King William, who saved us from popery, slavery, knavery, brass money and wooden shoes. Here in Belfast, the military-style marches are offensive to Catholics, but still the Protestants swear the march is not a show of strength, just a lively tradition. In today's atmosphere, it's certainly an explosive one. Their march, celebrating the Battle of the Boyne, could end in violence. It often has in the past. But many Protestants in Northern Ireland genuinely feel they're in a constant state of religious and political siege from a hostile Catholic enemy in the south. The Protestants know that so far they've always bested the Catholics, but it's an uneasy sense of victory. So for them, perhaps, the Orange Order offers tribal superiority over the Catholics. To them, it becomes a Protestant way of saying, we are the majority, we hold the power, we intend to keep it, come what may.
One of these sides, the awful lot, we might have wear this, but I want one of these sides in case some marshals and friends on one of the sides. Sorry. All right.
Young Protestant
and listen while I say, for the love of old Ulster is a wonderful thing. We'll fight to defend it with tooth and with nail, and we will make certain that truth will prevail.
It's sometimes said that the Orange Order is a kind of secret society. You have signs that you won't talk about. You have ways of recognizing each other.
Society of secrets.
Well, do these secrets include helping you get a job? Helping
No.
you get a house?
No.
Helping you get promotion?
No.
If it's a matter of knowing somebody who's in the know?
Definitely not. Definitely not. No, I definitely deny that. And I would like anyone to come to me and say to me they got a job through being a member of the Orange Institution. No.
Down through the ages, they've tried but in vain to take over Ulster, and they'll try it again, but we'll never falter to fight for the cause that gave us our freedom, religion and laws.
But supposing when he grows up he meets a girl that he wants to marry, and she's Roman Catholic.
Well, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't let him.
You'd oppose this?
I would. Yes.
How strongly?
Well, I wouldn't like to see him again. I'm speaking the truth.
You would?
I wouldn't like to see him again. I'm speaking the truth.
Your own son?
Yes.
I wouldn't like him to marry a Catholic, but I wouldn't put him out.
When the World War was raging in 1916, those technical rebels from Dublin did scheme to take our 6 counties. They thought they'd a nerve, but the Black and Tans gave them just what they deserve.
There was a rumour a little while ago that while you were up here, the Roman Catholics had broken through the barricades in the town. How did you react to that?
Put them down to what they are.
What do you mean?
They're rats.
12 months of fighting and killing have passed in a city that still presents a peaceful picture, at least when viewed from a distance. But Belfast is no longer a city in which Bob Purdy feels it's possible for anyone to walk and talk in safety. He was reluctant to talk to us in his home or on his street. He knows no one can say who will be the next victim of a sniper's bullet, the next target of a bomb outrage, and he sees no sign of settlement, no improvement in the near future.
Well, I think it's bound to get worse. Can't get any better. Because the people of Ulster, the Protestant people of Ulster, is not going to give it up. No intentions of giving it up. Haven't had any intentions of giving it up from the start of it. So it's lingering. The bombings and all's going on, but the Protestant people's not going to move 1 inch. Not going to budge.
But what do you feel is going to happen in the near future? What's it going to come to?
Well, it will come to a civil war very, very handy, very easy.
What do you call civil war?
Well, a civil war would be the like of the ex-Premier of England, Harold Wilson, said the other night that the British troops were out of it. We're going to have to defend ourselves. It'll bring it to a civil war.
You mean fighting in the streets?
It's bound to. There's fighting in the streets now at the moment, but the troops are there to come up in between it after it goes on. But if they were out of the bloodbath.
And do you think that's a possibility in the near future?
Oh, it's a possibility. More so the way our own government here, they've leaned back that far. They've lost control.
Let me put this to you. When is somebody going to cross the peace lines from your side to the other side
Why from our side? Why not somebody from the other side crossing the peace lines on this side?
Well, what if
Sure.
I was to suggest to you that you go to the other side
Take me, go.
and offer the hand of friendship to a Roman Catholic?
No. But after what's happening now, no, you couldn't. Couldn't.
Have your feelings hardened in any way since we saw you last?
I wouldn't say hardened. Feelings are always the same. But they've hardened towards what some of the people have had to stand. Intimidation, burned out of their homes, threatened.
What about yourself? Have you been intimidated?
Oh, yes, three times at my work. My job was going around the city, different parts of the city, and I've been told to leave certain areas.
What in fact happened?
In one instance, we were in to put in lamp standards, and they just came up to the lorry and told me to get out. Told me they didn't want me about the place.
Who was that?
Roman Catholics.
They just told you this, did
Just
they?
told me to get out, not to come back. Wasn't wanted there.
This was simply threatening with words, was it?
That was the first one. The next one was a few months later. It was a gun. Chap came down a pathway out of a house where I was, and he put the gun in. He says, "You've been told to keep out of here before. Now get out now and don't come back." That's the last warning.
He held the gun at you?
Yes, held the gun right up to me. It's happening all over the place.
This is a normal thing to happen
Oh, and these times it is.
to a working man in Belfast.
Oh, it is, certainly. It is.
To be told to leave a street at the point of a gun.
To leave a street. To leave an area. It is, certainly. Very much so now, just at the moment. More so now, I would say, than last year's houses all around, just down the bottom of here. There must be about 300 all burned out. All through intimidation. Intimidation.
Farringdon Gardens, once the homes of Protestants, now monuments to their battle cry, "No surrender." They're in the heart of the Ardoyne, a Catholic stronghold, and the Protestant families who lived here claimed they were ordered out by gunmen. They resisted the threats for a fortnight, then gave in. They didn't want to hand over their homes to Catholic families. After they left, the houses burned. Despite the dangers, some housewives choose, almost stubbornly, to go through the barricades and cross the peace lines every day to do the shopping. For Mrs. McGarry, whose son Hugh was blinded, and her daughter Meta, shopping means running the gauntlet of Crumlin Road, a kind of no-man's land occupied on this side by the Protestants, on the other by the Catholics, and no one can say here when a sniper will squeeze a trigger. It can happen, and it does, in the middle of the day or the dead of night, and then there's always charge and countercharge about who fired or threw rocks first. And always, too, the fear that this could turn into wholesale bloodshed, as the McGarrys know.
Well, in fact, we don't want to fight it out. There was no other way. We'll have to fight it out, won't we? There's no other peaceful way to do it. These people don't want peace. They've got everything they've asked for. And no matter what they get, they want more.
But if it did come to civil war, what would the Protestants fight with?
Well, we'll just have to fight with our hands, whatever we can have our hands on. As for guns or anything, we haven't got guns that I know of. But we'll have to go out and defend ourselves with something, wouldn't we?
But do you have no feeling of hope about a peaceful solution?
I can't see it, to tell you the truth. Have a peaceful solution at all.
Do you, Mrs. McGarry?
Every day, it's getting worse. The IRA's going far and far. The more damage they're doing, they're going in and doing more and more. Doesn't seem any solution to it. They're going to just try and put the country down altogether, but they'll never put Ulster down. We'll be here should there not be a Belton.
I beg your pardon?
We'll be here should there not be a Belton left. We'll still be here. They'll have to kill us before they get rid of us.
Can I say this, Mrs. McGarry? There used to be a lot of sympathy and interest in what's going on in
Yes.
Northern Ireland. But on the other side of the water in England now, there's a strong feeling that the army should pull out and let you and the Catholics get on with it.
Yes.
Patience is gone.
Across the water during the war, it was a different matter then. They forgot that Northern Ireland, they needed Northern Ireland then. They forgot that the Southern Ireland ones stabbed them in the back and left their ports open for the Germans, for the merchant shipping. They forgot that the propaganda from Germany and German agents were holed up in the south of Ireland, and the Southern Ireland government knew about it and helped them. And Northern Ireland helped Britain then. Why should Britain pull out of Northern Ireland now? It's part of the British Isles. You tell me that. Or ask the people across the water. Did we refuse to send our brothers and our husbands and our sons out to fight then? That's a British army, and the British army's entitled to protect the people here. The British army's sent all over the world to protect other parts of it. Why not here? How many are from Northern Ireland here? Or from Ulster? Or that's what this is, Ulster. How many from Ulster is in the British army? Tell me that. Stationed in Germany and all over the place. If they want to pull the British army, then send our own boys home. Send the boys home that have the training and give us back the B specials, and the British army can pull out.
And what then?
And what then? Then we'll let you see what we can do. And I'm telling you this, the IRA wouldn't be where they are today if we still had the B specials and our own boys.
In Belfast, the protection of the military is called for to get children safely to school and home again. Their school uniform clearly marks them as the enemy to the Catholics on the other side of Crumlin Road. Last Friday, Private Peter Sharp of the Green Howards was shot and killed while escorting children on a patrol like this. There is a safer, quieter route, but the Protestant mothers of these children defiantly won't send them any other way. But wouldn't it be sense to go the other route?
No. Why should you? It's British Ulster. And my child's British. And these people are rebels.
But your children are in danger going up that way.
No, they shouldn't be in danger. We have the British Army here to protect us, and we should have protection from the British Army for our children.
But wouldn't it be a good idea until such times as things settle down to send the children the other way around?
No. That would be given in to the rebels of Ulster, which we don't intend to do.
It would mean that nobody would ever be able to walk on the Crumlin Road again. That's just that it would be another no-go land as far as the people on this side of the road's concerned.
What about protecting your children? I mean, if there's something going to happen, will you do anything about protecting them?
Yes, I will. I personally protect my child.
In what way?
Well, I have a legal shotgun, and should I have to carry it up the Crumlin Road, I'll do so to protect my child.
But do you think that makes sense?
Yes, to me it does. Because my child should have the liberty to walk on British soil. She was born British, and British she remained as she died, and I die with her.
As the children left school, stones were thrown at them. The army intervened and just managed to stop a near riot. 4 times a day, the children walk the mile between school and home, and the crowds gather for word of their safe arrival. It's like waiting for news from a battlefront, a battle in which the adults force the children into the front line. But is it fair on the new generation? Should bigotry on both sides be their heritage? And should it take the British Army to get these 11-year-olds safe home from school every day? The army is caught in the middle.
I had my blokes on the ground. They were willing to stand there in front of you and receive the stones themselves.
Yes, in the boys inside the road.
The stones came from both sides.
Hey, we weren't with the boys. It was the wee girls were coming down.
I know the wee girls, but no stones were thrown when the
No.
girls came down
But
at all.
the chant Major, this is tantalising. They shouldn't be allowed to chant like that across the road.
We stopped them.
They shouldn't have been allowed to gather there in the first place, those women.
We asked them to go back, and they've gone back.
But they didn't go back before the children came down.
They went.
There's a child there standing. Look at the state that wee girl there is. And now look at that.
Yeah, me
That's
say they walked
ridiculous.
down and never stayed the road along with them.
What happened?
They started chanting and shouting and singing Fenian songs across the road. Sure, it's ridiculous. My God, that's a British road. Our British children are British. They're going to have to be allowed to walk on it.
They told us to get off the road.
Get off the road.
We weren't going to be on it anymore.
are standing chanting at them children.
Chanting what?
Slogans. And fancy language.
Fancy language, just. That's disgusting, just. You just wouldn't have words to say. Now, to call him bad enough, God forgive me, but that's the truth. That's the way I feel today. I was going to be lenient. I was going to turn my child, but not after today. My child would go up that road, I have to go up with her. Every day I have my life.
Can I ask the children themselves?
Yes, you ask.
What about going on another road rather than the Crumlin, Mary?
No.
No.
Because the Crumlin's our road. The Crumlin's our road and it's going to say Protestant. That's for why.
But would it not be safer, Mary, to go the other way?
We could come and not live in our own road and our own people and be peaceful with our own people. Why don't they put them lot over the border and let us live by ourselves?
Aren't you afraid of the stones?
No, I'm not, because if I get hit with one, I'll throw it back.
That's right, love. I'll help you, love.
But what about getting hurt yourself, Mary?
Well, whoever hits me, let us put it this way. Whoever hits me, I'll get a hit back with it. Only they'll get worse.
But what if it's worse than stones?
Well, what if it is? Can't we get bottles and make petrol bombs too?
Good for you, love, and we'll help you to make them.
Many families have gone away this July weekend for safety. On the Roman Catholic side, the city is as quiet as an empty chapel. Beyond the peace lines, the Orange men march on, celebrating antique victories. Their battle music, carried on the wind, on this side awakens echoes of the past. The ghosts of long-dead gunmen and their victims haunt the streets today. In this city where snipers are heroes and dead men become martyrs overnight. In Belfast, where the scars of battle never heal, the British Army keeps the peace. The charred houses of Catholic Bombay Street, off the Kashmir Road, burnt when the fifes and drums of Orange marchers heralded the battles, riots, killings that last August brought in the British troops. Today, 11,000 of them are on duty. Bombay Street on the peace line. Beyond the barricades, Protestant children are drawn to a bonfire built by Catholic kids with junk from their gutted homes. The Belfast young have learned to live with flames. These new houses in Bombay Street, built with privately raised funds, are a vast improvement on the old. But this Catholic project is seen by its Protestant opponents as a provocative political stunt, and there were angry threats of bulldozing the houses to the ground again. It's difficult in Belfast to put one brick upon another and avoid making of them a religious symbol. Rita Canavan has just returned to a new house built on the ashes of her burnt-out home, in the street which went up in flames that day in 1969.
Well, then that evening, about 3 o'clock, now this district was deserted, for all the men nearly were at work. Well, the crowds came in from those side streets of the Shankill Road and all round about. Now, they come up in hundreds, and they were led by a character. He was stripped to the waist. He had nothing on him, his trousers. He was stripped to the waist, and he was shouting, burn them out, and get the young ones, get the young ones, get the young ones.
What effect did this have on your children?
Oh, it had a terrible effect on the children, and especially the wee one, Anna. It affected her wee nerves terrible. In fact, she has never been a day well from it.
What did your husband say about it?
He changed completely, you know. He got awful. Well, he was a very jolly man, and he would have been out to the pub, and he would have been out to bookies and all, but now from the trouble, he hasn't left me to the kids.
Let us proclaim the mystery of faith. Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Further calling to mind the death his Son endured for our salvation, his glorious resurrection and ascension into heaven.
Clonard Monastery Chapel is a place of worship and a refuge for Catholics on the Kashmir Road. Many sought shelter here. The monastery was in the thick of the fighting. The spiritual director, Father Patrick Egan believes the present leaders are inadequate to the crisis.
They expect ordinary working class people to sink their differences and live together and work together and all the rest of it. Yet they themselves, the leaders, cannot meet and discuss the thing. I think this is unfair. They're expecting, actually, a higher standard of performance from ordinary working class people than they themselves are prepared to give.
But why, after 2 centuries, have not the ordinary working class people, who are very intelligent on both sides, why have they not got together and made common cause against these people, who have an interest in the differences?
Because they have been subjected to a great deal of brainwashing, I'm afraid. I think this is the simple explanation.
In what sense?
Many people would think that people in authority have a vested interest in brainwashing them and keeping them divided, so that they, the people in authority, will continue to enjoy their privileges and their high position.
Some people might say that the instruments used to perform this brainwashing, which I think is a good description of what has happened, on one side might be taken as the Orange Men and the Orange Lodges and so on the other side it might be taken as being the Catholic Church. Now, do you think there's any justification in that point of view?
I don't think you can compare the Catholic Church and the Orange Order at all. Indeed, I'm sure you can't. The Catholic Church has constantly, down through the centuries, preached charity. The Orange Order, I think you just could read its constitution, and that will give you a fair idea of what it is all about.
Do you believe that in places like Bombay Street and areas where there has been burning and where people have been shot, it is right to be meek and mild, as some suggest, or as the majority seem to suggest, to arm and be prepared?
Well, I don't know that very many people suggest that they be armed, but naturally, if a man's home is attacked, he surely will have a duty to try to defend it to the best of his ability.
Alec Robinson, Rita Canavan's close friend and neighbour, saw his mother burnt out of Bombay Street, where he was himself severely wounded in the riots.
I got shot in the back, and I was shot in the chest, and I was shot with a rifle in the stomach. And I got my hand broken.
How did that happen?
They broke my hand with the butt of a rifle. Suppose they said, well, this man will not hold a gun for a long time. They broke my hand, broke my thumb, and they beat me on top of the head with a rifle, and they blackened the 2 eyes. They had me there with a rifle too. But they forgot. It was a Catholic they were hitting. We're very hard men to put away.
What do you think of these new houses they've built round the corner in the street where you were shot?
Bombay Street. They're nice houses.
They're right on the peace line, aren't they?
They are, yes. How long are they going to be there? Is that what you're going to ask me? How long will they be there? They'll be there forever. They'll never burn us out again. I said they would never get up the Kashmir Road again, and they never will.
Have you heard all the tales of the Kashmir, where most of the fighting was done? It was there young Gerald O'Macaulay was shot by an orange sniper's gun. Now the age of this youth was but 15. He was coming home with his first pay. Now the parents of Gerald Macaulay will remember in anguish that day.
Mrs. Nellie Macaulay, Gerald's mother, is Rita Canavan's oldest friend. They grew up, went to dances and to mass together. Now they share the tragic events of last August, events which have already been transformed into legend, part of the ever-growing mythology of violence in this town.
Here's a thought to the murderer that killed him. Here's a thought and remember it well. When you murdered young Gerald Macaulay, you condemned yourself right into hell.
Gerald's parents, who had been looking for him all that day, now know that he died alone.
He must have been about the only one in that street at that particular time, whenever the sniper got him. And the thing that mostly kills me about that is that he wasn't in a mob. He was just innocently enough coming out of the side of that chapel. And that man could make such a brutal and animal attack on him to take his life. If he had been in a mob, well, I'd have said he was just unfortunate, one, that he got the bullet. But I don't know that's true enough. But I've been told that he was shot in the chest and tried to make his way up the street, and that they gunned him then in the back. But it would take you just to be an animal to do such a thing, to just pick on an innocent child.
Have you any idea who did it?
None. I don't want to know.
Some youngsters who feel very strongly about your son have told us that they think they know who the gunman was. And they've sworn that they'll get him one day. Do you know?
No. Well, I would rather that nobody would touch this person, whoever they may be. Because the longer that this person lives, the longer he'll suffer in his own way. And I prayed to God to forgive him. And I honestly mean that. That he was able to do such a cowardly act, but he's suffering now, I'm sure, if he has a conscience at all, that they're suffering. Because I think if it was me to commit such a cowardly act, that child's face would never leave my sight.
Only among the peaceful dead in Belfast today can the private grief of a bereaved mother be understood for the personal tragedy it is, freed from the overtones of sectarian ballads and rabble-rousing sentiment, which on both sides drown all the real tears under a tide of indignation without compassion. Even the inscription of Gerald's memorial is a reminder of the politics of violence which killed him. He's only one of the hundreds who died in Belfast since 1969, one of the many more who have perished in the clashes between the fortress culture of a Protestant majority in Ulster and an Irish Catholic minority governed without their consent.
It's much, much worse than it was a year ago. With the internment coming in and all the fighting that's been going on, and the situation there has got much worse. The relation between Catholics and Protestants was very good before August 69. In fact, Gerald's best friend was a Protestant, and through him that Gerald took such an interest in fishing, because he went in and out of this boy's house for 5 years. And it was this boy's father that took Gerald away and gave him such an interest in fishing and also pigeons.
What was the boy's name?
Bill Kirk. He took it very bad.
What
he
did he
came
say
round
to
to see Gerald's corpse. And he cried very, very sore.
Has anything happened to your friends, the Kirks, in the last year?
No, nothing's happened except 2 weeks ago they moved out.
Out of where?
Well, they lived here 2 streets down on this side of the road. Now they've moved to the other side of the road.
Why?
Well, it wasn't through intimidation. They just decided themselves to move. And they had a complete clean swap with a Catholic family that lived in a predominantly Protestant area
Have you any idea why they decided to go at this particular time?
No, I just think that they felt that they'd be better on their own side of the road, among their own people.
For how long had the Kirks lived in this house 2 streets away from you?
I think something around about 30 years.
When you spoke to me last year, you said that what you hoped for was peace and that everybody would stop all this rioting and this crazy behavior and settle down to be good neighbors again. Is that what you want today?
Yes, but I can't see it happen. Because the gap wasn't as wide then as it is now.
Over the years, over the generations, in fact, there's been rioting in Belfast, hasn't there, between Protestant and Catholic. There's nothing new about this. But this time it seems to have been rather worse than it's been before, at least for a very long time.
Yes.
Do you think that eventually tempers will simmer down and it'll go back to what it was like before, in periods of calm between the rioting, with the Protestants and the Catholics living apparently perfectly happily together? Do you think that'll happen again?
Well, it will, but in my opinion, it'll be a very long time before this happens.
When you say a very long time, what do you mean? Do you mean a matter of weeks or months or years?
Well, years, I would say. I can't see it coming off in months.
As though some plague had passed this way, Lanark Street today stands empty. 8,000 people have moved house in Belfast since the day of internment. The arrest and detention of suspected Catholics was like some kind of signal to the families who left their homes on the ghetto borders and their possessions wherever they could. In the case of the Lanark Street Catholics, it was in the Clonard Monastery, where during the last year, the changes in the neighbourhood have been clear enough to Father Patrick Egan.
I would say there have been changes, certainly, in attitudes. One change is fairly obvious, that a year ago, the attitude of the Catholic community in general towards the British Army was not unfriendly. It was not unfriendly, I would say. In general, their attitude at the moment is somewhat unfriendly.
I should have said it's one of blazing hatred where I've been.
I wouldn't say hatred exactly, but there is resentment at the way the army is being used. Because people believe that the army is now being used as an instrument for the Unionist government, an instrument of repression in order to preserve the Unionist government. A lot of people feel that at the present time. And you have evidence, too, that would back up this belief. You have the policy of detention without trial, which has been one-sided, of course. Then you have the search for arms, again, a one-sided exercise in general, in spite of the fact that Catholic areas came under very, very heavy gunfire on several occasions, even in very recent times. I think you have got evidence of that. You have got the tracks of bullets in some of the new houses in the Bombay Street, isn't that right? But you have all this happening, and still there has been no search, no attempt made to find these gunmen or to find the guns. Now, this is obviously a one-sided application of law and order, which the Catholic people present.
It is said around about this area that the official IRA, which used to control this part of Belfast and the other side of the Falls Road, and that their aim was mainly to unite Ireland by political means, have in fact either been kicked out, suppressed, or battered into submission by the provisionals, whose aim it is to unite Ireland with the gun, and indeed we've had lots of evidence of this, of the gun and the bomb in the last few weeks.
I think you forget that the Irish people have a tremendous sense of humour. They tell you quite a lot of things, perhaps, as you go around, but just how much of it they really mean is another matter. As I have said, I know the people very, very well. They are determined that they will be allowed to pursue legitimate political aspirations by lawful means.
When people come to you and say to you, ask you for guidance or advice in this situation or for an explanation of it, when your parishioners come and ask you this, and I'm sure they must.
Yes?
What do you tell them? How do you explain the situation here to them, to ordinary people?
Well, I always, without fail, I impress upon them the necessity of not allowing themselves to be forced into using violent means, not allow themselves to get into a situation where you have violence in the streets. I point out to them that if they have their political aspirations, that's fine, and they're quite free to pursue them using lawful means. But I always tell them to be on their guard against allowing themselves to be provoked into using violence.
In Bombay Street on the Peace Line, Catholic children play happily today, where all the new houses are finished and the burned-out families have returned. But this pleasant, modern housing estate differs dreadfully from others like it in Britain. The windows and bedroom walls bear the scars of gun battles after internment day, when rifle fire raked the Kashmir Road in a gun battle between marksmen on the flat-roofed building against the skyline, and a sniper hidden among the roofs of Protestant houses on the other side of the Peace Line. He was positioned behind this chimney, was finally hit by rifle fire, and fell to his death. It's said that he was a Protestant gunman, and the British Army marksman finally killed him. Yet to Alec Robinson, the enemy these days is no longer the Protestant sniper.
The enemy these days is the British Army. That's our enemy. That's the people we want out of this country.
And what about the Protestants?
Well, if it were possible to live with the Protestants, we would live with them. But I'm doubtful whether the Protestant wants to live with us.
What do you think your situation would be here if the British Army did withdraw? In practical terms, what do you think would happen?
Civil war right away. Definitely civil war.
What makes you say that?
Well, I just know that. After all, there are over 1 million Protestants in this country and 500,000 Catholics. The odds are 2 to 1 against it right away. And if the British Army moved out of here, this government would bring back the B specials, bring back the police, and we'd really be in trouble then. But we have always got a chance of getting assistance from that. I don't think Mr. Lynch will let us down.
So that you would like to see the army go and back in large quantities. This is what you're saying you really want to see.
If we could achieve what we want to achieve, a united Ireland, and we will achieve that, I think that until we achieve a united Ireland, that this fighting will continue between Catholic and Protestant.
In 1970, British soldiers patrolled these streets on foot in daylight. In 1971, fighting the most thankless, most dangerous, least rewarding of battles, they patrol in armoured cars. This was a working-class Catholic slum in Belfast, accustomed to violence. It's now become a sullen battlefield. Paving stones along these streets serve no practical purpose anymore, except as standard riot ammunition. When the British Army first arrived in Belfast, they were seen as protectors and Catholic doors were open to them. But in 1971, these doors are closed. The windows carry the legend, "Release the internees," like an angry refrain, "Release the internees." Internment, designed to stop militant Ulstermen and defuse the IRA, is seen as a blow at Catholic households on the Peace Line, where the politics of violence and reprisal have frightened ordinary people into silence. In August of 1970, we were welcomed in this street and in this house by Rita Canavan. This year, when she returned with her children from the south, where she'd fled during the recent fighting, we called on Rita Canavan again.
Look, I have had enough this last 2 years. Now, everybody knows what's going on, and I don't want nothing more to do. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
But you spoke about it last time. Why don't you want to speak about it now?
No, I just can't take any more. I don't want nothing more to do with it.
Even funerals become a show of sectarian strength in Belfast today, but both Protestants and Catholics, seemingly never able to love each other as the God of both would have them do, still share one thing: fear for the future. The Protestant mother of a blinded son said it first in 1970, and now in 1971 can say it again. But who will listen to her?
It's going to end. If it doesn't stop now, it is really going to end in mass murder. And it's just going to be, well, there's going to be nothing left. That's all. There's going to be nothing left. There's going to be no future for our children. There's going to be no homes for us and no work for the men if this goes on much longer.